I was standing in front of the mirror, asking myself a question that you have probably asked yourself too. Am I still the person who I used to be? Or am I finally becoming something that I always wanted to be? And guess what? The answer is neither. I was just in between. Hello everyone, my name is Sika, and just like all of you here, we live in a tension of two spectrums. So this is the past. This side is the past that involves decisions, emotions, expectations, experience that now shape our now identity. It has memories that sometimes cherish us, but sometimes also regret us. Like high school memories, high school mistakes, high school stupidity that makes us sigh, but also a genuine, joyful laughter we had with our favorite person back then. And on the other side, this is the future. The spectrum of the persons I am becoming. I'm not there yet. There are a lot of boxes, of checklists, of the qualities that haven't made me that I hope to embody. Just like you, we have the list of something that we hope to fulfill to finally get the life we always wanted to live in. And these two spectrums, the past and future, both are heavy, so heavy. And this is where I'm standing at the place in between. The space that very uncomfortable spot, the messy middle. However, this is what we paradoxically call as a life. So where you are sitting right now, that is your life. Not the high school memories, not the all activities before this event. Not the future things, the deadlines, the weekend plans. Please, as I deliver the thoughts, let's more appreciating the now. I want to revisit 4 dimensions that reveals why now is often underestimated, yet the most important thing that we possess in life. First one is temporal dimension. Do you recognize that we live in a world that glorifies the before and the after? Before graduation, after graduation. Before success, after success. Before glowing up, after glowing up. Before meeting someone, after breaking up with them. But who dares to speak the messy middle, where life actually goes on? Ironically, in English, now is also equal in synonym as prison, right? And prison is also a synonym of a gift. So why do we miss the gift? So philosophically, I wanted to take you to dialogue. Let's learn together. So we know that in philosophy we have ontology, epistemology, axiology. And ontologically, the past and present, this is really interesting, it's only mental constructs. So therefore, the only reality is the now. Other than that, everything is just based on our head. So think of it like this. The past is just like a museum. There are valuable, frozen. We can visit it sometimes, but we cannot live there. How many of you still live in the past? I see hands. That's why we've been encouraged to moving forward. But the future is like a blueprint, promising, full of potential. There are a lot of things that is as beauty as success, but it's still unrealized. So I would argue that for the now, we can imagine it as a construction site. Why? Because it is unfinished. We can't see the result yet. It is noisy, so noisy. It is messy. But this is the only place we can actually create something, add something. So, while temporal dimension reminds us about the importance to appreciate the now, I will move on to the psychological dimension. So psychologists, a lot of them, give us answer and insights why people often underestimate the now. The answer is simply here. Psychologists say that our minds are rarely here. It is anywhere except here. It must be in the past, it must be in the future. And psychology also say, instead of being present, majority of human, they carry life like a backpack. So imagine this is a backpack. Inside it, there are a lot of stones. That stones could be a trauma, a scarcity feeling from the family that you brought all along the way. Inside it also could be the memories and conversation that hurt you the most and still haunt you until now. But is it everything? No. The stones also made up by the brick of the future, the what ifs. What if I'm gonna lose my head? What if I fail after this? What if I'm not getting job after a graduation? What if I'm breaking up with them as friendship, as relationship? A lot of what ifs, the anxieties and uncertainties. So, the heavier the backpack, the harder your journey. It's never the fault of the road that you walk in. It's simply the skill, the art. How can we let go and refuse to carry this bag? Just pull it. We can call it with the term just. But you know, detachment is often the most difficult thing to do as a human. It requires us patience, persistence, resilience, and empathy toward the present time to literally detach for the past and the future anxiety. Let me show you how the research says about this. So this is conducted by Killingsworth and Gilbert from the Harvard University, and this is really interesting that they say most of humans are unhappy not because what they are doing, but because their minds were everywhere. I'll give you a very relevant example. For instance, you are unhappy student not because you're just still a student and not yet the CEO, but because your mind is not there with you sitting as a student which is obligated to study. Or for instance, there are a lot of unhappy people nowadays because they think they only have small number of followers, only 1,000, and they think that they are not 1 millionaire. So we always define our position right now to the place where our mind is anywhere but not here. So this is also validated by the neuroscience study that they say every time you worry, every time those spectrum, the past and the future, talk to you and you think about it, it activates your network mode in your particular brain that link it into the stress. And interestingly, once we develop the skills to pulling back our focus and refocus to the now, our intention, everything, our brain activates resilience and empathy and clarity. So the takeaways from this dimension alone is remember the formula. If you are not happy here and now, the highest chance is you will never be. Because it's not waiting to achieve something to be happy. Achievement didn't bring happiness, but happiness brings new achievement. That's why we should develop our mindset and not postponing our happiness, but simply being present and focusing what we can do in this construction site. The third dimension is cultural dimension. So while the psychology teaches us in an individual level, explaining why we have to have control to our mind, pulling back all the focus into the now, the cultural dimension explaining the structural level. So it's not only individual, why my mind, why your mind, but it's collectively all of us. Why our minds function like that? The answer is, we live in a modern culture that glorifies speed above everything. People will always tell you to graduate faster, to get married sooner, to get a promotion now, or to get your first billion rupiah is so called, before 30. So everything has a deadline. You will be more respected if you achieve more in a lifetime you have. That's our modern culture. And I was the victim of this culture as well. By the age of 18 until 25, which I previously believed that it was the foundation of life, I was following the race, which now I realize it brings me nowhere but exhaustion. It's measured about how many deadlines I made in a day, but not how many moments I lived in a day. Deeply lived. It was training me to see my value by my output, not my awareness. And the culture justified it under the mask, under the quiz of productivity. But I will ask you, let's philosophical question. Let us make it born philosophical question. Productive for who? Is it for the market? Is it for the algorithm? Is it for the GDP diagram? Or is it for our well-being as a human, as a simply human, that also need to value presence? And productive is not similar to presence, because presence speed as we are a machine. The crude joke is, no matter how much you produce, no matter how much you achieve, the bar just will keep raising further away. So the final dimension, which is also really important, is the personal dimension. This dimension is the only dimension that allow us to rethink and listen in world. There are two types of sound in this world. First one is something we call noise. It comes from external, where people whispering to you, influencing you, yelling at you to your ears. It is everyone, could be your closest people, except you. That's the external noise. But the second one is voice. This kind of sound is coming from your own. It's coming from within. So let us develop our skills to listen more to our own voice by this dimension. But interestingly, speaking of growth has nothing to do with the sound itself. Growth is not always loud. Growth is not always on the stage like here. Growth is not always visible, tangible. Growth is also could be like a tree. A tree that the root deepen quietly, unseen by the world. Then the branches spread wisely, blending with the storms, the winds, and the season. Then sometimes you are blossom, sometimes you are just choose stillness. But both are growth. Remember that for the tree to be blossom, they need a soil and a sunlight. And do they acting like a cloud? Do they acting like a heavy rain? No. They are quiet growth. So if you're sitting there and you're thinking, right now or this year, I feel like I'm not filled with grand achievements. That's okay. That's probably there is quiet circumstances that prepare you to face another storm ahead. So these are the four dimensions about how we appreciating now deeply. So let us in final reconstruct the question. Well, in the first one, I say that I'm standing in front of the mirror asking, am I the person who I used to be or the already person who I becoming? Let's change the question. The question now is, how can I appreciate the now? And how I can be remembered, not as someone who just rushed quickly past by, but leaves a lot of legacy, with passions in this unfinished half-blown situation. That's all from me. Thank you for your nice attention.